This show is brought to you by the Deluxe Edition Network. Head over to the den.show for other great podcasts.
I have my pulse on the fucking finger of comedy.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Deluxe Edition, the show where we love to dig deep into classic pop culture. My name is Bill Sebald, here as always, Mr. Casey Shearer. How are you, sir?
Good, Bill. How are you, buddy?
What are we talking about today, Case?
Well, I believe that you wanted to talk about the censorship in America, correct?
Well, not necessarily America, but the censorship in pop culture. But pop culture is in America, so you're not wrong. But I mean, we were talking the other day about the whole Joe Rogan thing that's going on now with Spotify, and I don't know. I don't think I got a sense of exactly where you are, but I was like, this is good stuff for the podcast. So maybe you're like, what do you want to do a show about? I'm like, censorship. And I think you already knew, like, I know what I'm going to talk about. And I know you're going to talk about this stuff. Maybe that's a good place to start. So if the audience isn't aware of what's going on or what we're talking about, I guess it's a censorship debate. So Joe Rogan is somebody I don't listen to, right? But Joe Rogan has a huge podcast. How many listeners do you think he has? I mean, there's hundreds of thousands.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be in the millions, honestly.
Yeah.
It's in the millions.
Spotify, they're trying to get into the podcast game. Nobody previously thought of Spotify as anything but streaming audio in terms of music. And they have made, a pretty big move into the podcast world. They brought in Joe Rogan. They gave him an exclusive contract, said you could only be on Spotify, which, by the way, I think kind of sucks because I don't want to start seeing, channels now of podcasts and you got to now subscribe to, but that's another thing. But he went on to Spotify. I guess Spotify grabbed a couple others. I know the show that you like is on Spotify.
Yeah, actually, the last podcast on the left, but they actually I guess their deal was up. They didn't terminate anything. Their deal was up. They signed a contract for a certain amount of time, and now they are on every platform again, which is great because I like Spotify. I have nothing against Spotify, but it's just not something I use all the time. I always used, I pay for a Google subscription, which actually then turned into a YouTube music subscription because I guess somehow they merged. So that's what I use. You know what I mean? But I had to download Spotify to get the last podcast on the left. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's a real nuisance to you. You're not a Spotify user. Now your content moves to Spotify and you're like, I got no choice but to become a Spotify user. And that's what kind of sucks. If podcasting starts to go that way, I mean, right now it's the Wild West. You can get anything you want for free, but maybe they are starting to, divide it in that way. And well, anyway, so Spotify did this. Spotify is a public company. They had Joe Rogan on and Joe Rogan says some things that rub people the wrong way. I don't, again, listen to Joe Rogan. I don't know a lot of what he said. The closest I know to the stuff that Joe Rogan says that offends people is the thing that Aaron Rodgers said that he talked to Joe Rogan about, which was just crazy to me. So I'm assuming he talks about some, crazy ideas about what works and what doesn't work in certain things, including, right now everybody is dealing with COVID. So I'm guessing he said some things like something that is fake or something, doesn't work. Do you know the details there?
I don't know the exact details. I do know that it's not anything that Joe personally said himself. Everyone is offended or not. Okay, I shouldn't say everyone, but people are upset about the guests that he has on. Like he's had Alex Jones on. You obviously know who Alex Jones is. Last week we did a big conspiracy episode. Alex Jones is like one of the biggest conspiracy theorists in the country. He said he said some controversial things in the past about several things, but one of them mainly being Sandy Hook. You know about what he said at Sandy Hook?
No.
Like that it was all fake. It didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, he's crazy. That guy, remember last episode we talked about Bat Boy and the Daily News, and he's one of them to me. I don't think he believes half the shit he says. Okay. Right. But you're telling me that it was the guests and it wasn't Joe. Joe didn't really say anything.
Right. So yeah. So this is from what I'm gathering. Here's my thing. He's not one-sided. He has people from both sides of the fence on. He's just like everything that I always go back to this. Joe Rogan has always said he's just a comedian having conversations with people. And he gets like, okay, I smoke pot before every show. I take a hit. That's my gimmick. I take a hit before every show. Joe Rogan has smoked weed with guests like for hours on his show. They say some stupid shit. He's a comedian. He's never claimed to be anything more than a comedian having conversations with people. He had Sanjay Gupta on.
Okay, before you go too far, I haven't even explained the full story yet. Right. But we'll circle right back to it because
there was a lonely Google assistant that wondered why nobody would talk to it. Then imagine.
I'm going to unplug this fucking Google assistant. I do not want it anymore. Google, this thing's been out for 5 years and it gets dumber. Shut up. Okay, Google, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Okay, now my other one's turning on my phone. No, I don't. You don't need to help me out. I'm surrounded by fucking idiots, and they're all named Google. Back to the show. Okay, so Spotify, right? Spotify has the interest of all the investors. They're a public company, right? When you're a public company, the business now only cares about the shareholders. It's not about the consumer anymore. It's about making sure the shareholders are happy. Okay, so when I guess it was perceived that Joe Rogan had maybe said some things or put some things out there that were contrary to real scientific advice, whatever it was that he said, then we all of a sudden had Neil Young. Neil Young, you could have told me Neil Young was dead. Neil Young's back. And Neil Young says, hey, listen, I don't want my music to be on a platform where there is somebody responsible for putting false information out there. And I went, that's fucking interesting. Like, I don't think Neil's making that much money right now. You make all your money touring, or maybe he's got some old deals that he, he can still get money from. I don't know, but you don't make a lot of money in music right now. And he's like, I'm going to take it off the platform. Well, that was interesting. So everybody's kind of like, what the fuck is Spotify going to say? Because, you just made a lot of noise and then all the newspapers picked it up and all of a sudden it's a big story. And this is where you and I started to talk about it. What are you catching, flies? What was that?
There was a spider coming down.
No, that was
not even joking. There was a spider right here. I'm not that high.
That could have been your chance to become Spider-Man and you squashed the thing. Just like that. You didn't even, your entire destiny everything would have changed for you. We just watched it happen, folks. So, okay, I get both sides of the argument, right? Free speech. Let this guy who, he never really said this information that I'm giving is scientific because I know so because of something, right? He kind of danced around a little bit. And then you got other people that are like Neil Young who are like, listen, I don't want to be affiliated with a company that's putting fake stuff out there. And then, the censorship conversation starts to happen. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, so which side am I on? I really don't know. Now, Joe Rogan has come back and he has said, listen, guys, I don't know if you heard his response. Even Spotify made a response. Theirs was a little phoned in. But Joe was like, guys, look, it's not my interest to come out here and spread misinformation. I'm not trying to be a bad guy. I'm just trying to be an entertainer. And he said, I'm going to try really hard to make sure that the stuff that comes out isn't that kind of controversial. Now, Casey, that is a responsible move, right? So my other issue with all of this is censorship is a thing. And if you own a property, whether it's Facebook or it's Disney World, you get to own what people can and cannot do, what they can and cannot say. So when he says that, I'm going to self-censor, I'm going to sort of control the words that come out of my mouth as to not create problems. I think that's responsible broadcasting. So there's even a third element to this whole thing. What are your thoughts, Case? I keep talking over you. I can talk for hours, but.
No, what's the third? Go ahead, keep going.
Well, no, that is the third thing to consider. Like self-censorship is really something that I think we're not doing enough of right now. I mean, shit, man, I watched Fox News one day and I saw that Tucker Carlson, he's like, if you see somebody wearing a mask, this is months ago, maybe a year and a half ago, if you see somebody wearing a mask, walk up to them and tell them that you're offended because there's no there's tons of fucking scientific research all over the fucking world. But this guy knows better than the rest of the world. Like, I kind of get it. Real dumb people are going to believe dumb things. So when Joe Rogan says, listen, I'm just a dumb comedian, like, you're not supposed to take advice from me. The problem is people will, and they do, like fucking Aaron Rodgers. So, man, it's a touchy thing.
Tell me the Aaron Rodgers thing.
Aaron Rodgers, they asked him, you know, are you vaccinated? Because we're trying to have a football season this year. We don't want anybody sick. It costs us a lot of money when people are sick and can't play. And especially if our stars are sick, hard to sell jerseys when your star is sick half the season. Yeah. So they got him on microphone and he goes, oh, yeah. I'm immunized. And they just kind of let it go. And then they found out later he wasn't. He didn't get the vaccine. He took whatever Joe Rogan did. Joe Rogan, I guess, took some stuff. I forget what it was, but
ivermectin.
That's it. And the doctors are saying, no, don't take that. It's going to make you violently ill. And there's no signs that this is actually going to cure COVID. So Aaron Rodgers took that. And guess what? It wasn't the vaccine. And, you know, he potentially broke the rules of the NFL.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Story. Okay, well, here's the thing. I did kind of know that. There's so many people that are on both sides. Like, there's so many people that say, yeah, ivermectin, there is tests that it does work and that it has worked in the past, like for studies. And then there's so many people that say, no, it's not, like, that it's not tested and this and that. Like, who can you trust, Bill? Like, who, you know, like you said, you turned on Fox News for a minute or two. Well, if you turn on CNN, it's the complete opposite of what they're saying. Like, they're back and forth. Like, where can you get a legitimate source of information from?
There are, I mean? Like, yeah, but they're out there. That's the problem. Nobody knows to look there. There are scholarly things written all the time. The AP is not really a company that's, you know, driven by ad revenue. I like them. The CDC, you know, whether you go, the government's lying to us or not, they're not trying to make money on this, as far as I know. So there are, you know, somewhat valid sources to go to.
Yeah. So I don't know. My thoughts on the whole Neil Young thing and the Spotify. Neil Young's made his money. I mean, he, like you said earlier, he could have been making that much money on Spotify at this point, right?
I doubt it. That's why I'm thinking maybe some of his old record deals maybe still pay out. Or maybe they don't. He's just making no money on Spotify. He's like, I want to just put my name in the paper. Maybe all of it is publicity. Maybe he's got a book coming out.
So we talked to Corey McCormick, who's in Lucas Nelson's band. They recently, like the last couple albums that Neil's made, they were on. Like they were Neil's backing band. So like I love Neil Young. I've always loved Neil Young's music. I wasn't going to Spotify to listen to Neil's music. Do you know what I mean? Like I have Neil Young's music everywhere else. Do you know what I mean? Like it's on YouTube Music. I have Neil Young albums. I have Neil Young CDs. Do you think that many people were actually even going to Spotify to try and find Neil Young's music? Or,
well, I don't think the issue is Neil Young fans are now upset, because I don't think that you're right. There's probably not that many who can't find it elsewhere. You know, I think it more was this guy got, you know, these opinions and this action publicized in the paper. It became more of a, you know, hey, maybe others should follow suit, you know, and Niels Lofgren, isn't that his name? The guitar player from the E Street Band. It's like him. He's the next guy to be like, yeah, I'm pulling my shit too. Like,
no, I didn't even hear that.
Nobody remembers you, buddy. Look, I'm in the middle of it. And it's, I mean, I don't mean I'm in the middle of it like this is happening to me and I have actual dogs in the fight. I mean, I see several signs of it. And you bring another one. Who can you trust? I don't know. Who's wrong? Who's right? All right. So I found this definition online. I think this is a really good definition of the First Amendment, right? So the First Amendment guarantees freedom concerning religion, expression, assembly, and the right to petition. It forbids Congress from both promoting one religion over another and also restricting an individual's religious practices. It guarantees freedom of expression by prohibiting Congress from restricting the press or the rights of individuals to speak freely. It also guarantees the right of citizens to assemble peacefully and petition their government. Petitioning the government is, you know, going and saying you guys are a bunch of assholes and not worried about, you know, any kind of persecution for it. So that's a pretty light definition of censorship. And then you think about it, you're like, yeah, this was written way back then. Like they had no idea, you know, Prince was going to write songs about masturbation. They had no idea. So sometimes I get frustrated because we're trying to shove so much new shit into this old definition. you know? So, yeah, there is censorship going on. We have a First Amendment that says no censorship, but there's so much censorship because this is fluffy.
Well, okay, so you're allowed, there is freedom of speech. I was just talking about this with a friend of mine. You can say whatever you want, but if your employer doesn't like what you said, you're going to get fired.
Well, now more than that, hate speech isn't protected. If you yell fire in a movie theater, that's not protected.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's certain things that you cannot say. You know, which
that's censorship. No case. That's the point. It's so crazy.
But
it's crazy.
But I mean, come on. Don't you think that there are? I mean, there should be laws for certain things that you cannot say. But for someone to have an opinion if one medicine works or not, that if you want to fucking drink bleach, go ahead. See you later. Have a fucking nice time. That I don't, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
but you can understand in a society, a government would want to try to stop everybody, from drinking bleach. Like right now, I think 35%, 40% of Americans are unvaccinated. I don't think it's going to change. Like they don't want to change. So, you can't. I don't even know why I brought that up. There was a reason I was tying that to something. Cut that out. We'll cut that out.
There's no editing anymore.
Yeah, I forget where I was going with that, but there was fuck it.
I don't know, man. But I did go through it because I of course thought this was something totally different. I thought we were doing the history of censorship in America. So like this goes all the way back to the first thing that I could find that was ever censored in America was 1722. Okay, and this is we have to start thanking our sources. That's usually Wikipedia, but I got this article from stacker.com. 1722, Benjamin Franklin's older brother James, he was jailed for several weeks for publishing criticism of the government. So,
well, when was the Declaration of Independence created? Or the Constitution, rather?
I know my history is. I'm not.
Well, it was 1776, wasn't it? Or was that the Declaration of Independence? So it was after that period, 1722.
Right. So even before that was written.
I can't believe you had the balls to go all the way back into history, the shit we know nothing about, and try to bring this up.
All right, let's go to little pop culture stuff because I found this they tried to censor. We talked about Elvis last week. Elvis is still alive somewhere, They tried to censor Elvis in 1955. The Florida police threatened to arrest him if he did not stand still while performing. And then 2 years later, his performance on the Ed Sullivan Show was filmed from the waist up.
Yeah.
Due to opposition over his suggestive moves.
And that's a crazy story because he was coming out later and saying, yeah, you guys all thought I was doing sexual gyrations. Man, I wasn't. It just was fun to do. Like you guys put that meaning into that. And when Ed Sullivan, when they had the film, from up, he's like, what the hell is going on here? Like everybody's putting this meaning on there. They're censoring things that aren't even real. And that's been a real problem in pop culture. Like if you think about it going on, they want to censor all kinds of, heavy metal records because they're going to kill you. What? How do you know? Like there's no actual proof. There's just a lot of speculation. Right. A lot of moms hated those Kiss records because they thought you were going to go to hell if you listened to Kiss. Like what? These are the kind of things that people decide to censor on.
Yeah. Not
truth, just feelings and opinions.
Right.
By the way, I remembered I can now circle it back to the vaccine thing.
Give it to me.
It's the frustration is the society wants to sort of be something that protects everybody, but you can't make everybody fall in line and agree with the same thing. So I don't know if a better definition of censorship is going to help people feel like, all right, we know exactly what we can and cannot say in society, or is it going to push people even more to the edge where they're like, I am so sick of government telling me what I can and can't say. There's just no winning this anymore. There's simply no winning this. We're too far along in this country's evolution to go back now and rewrite, any one of the pieces of the Constitution. It's just you can append them and append them and append them, but then you know what? Bills never get passed. Everything gets tied up in Congress anyway. So I don't know. I really think the best way that you can, the best thing that we can get from pop culture and censorship is letting the platforms self-censor themselves.
It's getting worse though, because there's so many woke people that get offended by everything, and
they get through, man. The stocks did drop for Spotify. I told you, I said I lost some fucking money. They put the sentiment out in the marketplace, and investors start to drop, and then the price goes down. So they can make a difference.
I have to feel that it will bounce back though. Like I told you earlier in our texts, like don't worry. Like, I feel like you're worried about that, but I feel like it will bounce back.
Yeah, but I lost money now.
So
sure, it'll bounce back, but I can do the buy up. Are we turning this into a stock show? I understand how stocks work. But I'm telling you, when this first happened, I said, watch the stock price is going to go down. Nobody cares about Neil Young. I said, it's bigger than Neil Young and the people that pay for the subscriptions. It goes into Wall Street, this kind of shit. Like you said, the woke crowd, right? Well, same with the guy who you just mentioned, the hard right Republicans, what's his name? The fucking guy. Oh, he was on Rogan. He's the crazy one with the
Alex Jones.
Yeah. He's just as dangerous as the other side, because he can create motion, right? He can create currents because he can get audiences to agree with him too. And now we have all of these groups of different people all squawking at each other, and they're all bitching about different things. How in the hell is a society ever going to get everybody on the same page?
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
So are more rules for censorship the right thing to do?
No.
So we should have less rules and maybe lead to, more people saying whatever the fuck they want. And, like if you snort goldfish, you'll turn into a fucking, giant fish. Like, where does it end?
honestly, I don't really think anything needs to change that. I mean, just like, okay, you're a big fan of Frank Zappa. Okay. So we talked about this before. Like, Frank went to Congress and talked about like the freedom of speech. They wanted to try and censor Prince's album. Like, it all started with Prince's album. You brought that up about, he was talking about masturbation, and it was mainly about the incest that Prince talked about in the song Sister. But like, you're not going to stop people from listening to this stuff. It's, musicians are going to make what they want to make. People are going to say what they're going to say. It's so hard to stop that. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't do it.
All right. The PMRC is a good topic. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I know a bit about it because I am a Zappa fan. All right. So let's define it a bit. PMRC, what the hell did they stand for? It was the Parents Music Resource Center. Okay. So it was a group of people, a lot of senators' wives or Congress people's wives. Basically, it was one of them. It might have even been Tipper Gore, who said she was listening to a Prince album with her daughter, and it was Darling Nikki about the masturbation and all that with her purse or whatever this lyric is. It's a very crude lyric, and she was embarrassed. She heard it in front of her daughter. Now, in the 80s, yeah, that was rare. Like, you'd walk around with your mom and dad, and you wouldn't even hear the F word. Like, it was a really protected curse words and stuff like that. It was just the society it wasn't right to just curse in front of people. So when all of a sudden you hear something kind of crude and pornographic on a record, yeah, it freaked these ladies out. And they all started to get together, and they created the PMRC, which was a nonprofit. Okay. It wasn't a government thing. So they didn't really have any power to go and place a bill. All they could really do was kind of lobby and try to get a groundswell going of politicians and senators and everything to go and try to maybe put in some legislation to make this a little. It wasn't censorship they were going for. They were more going for a couple things. They were going for a tape tax, which is a whole nother thing, but they were going for labeling and ratings. They wanted ratings just like the movies. And that's what they were really after. There was another guy, what's his name? He was part of the RIA. I think that's what it was. Edward Fritz, you remember him because he got into that great fight with Frank Zappa.
He was on he was on Crossfire.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, he was a religious guy, and his goal was really he wanted to get radio stations to start going, holy shit, if we start playing this stuff, this dirty stuff, there's going to be some repercussions. So he was kind of like scaring them from doing it. So there were a lot of people that were all kind of into the same PMRC camp, but had different agendas, like religious agendas or family agendas, or maybe political gain or, political power. So when the PMRC hearings happened, all it was a hearing. And I remember it was John Denver was in there. I can't remember what John Denver said. I don't even think I've ever actually seen any transcript from him. Dee Snider was in there, I remember. And then Frank Zappa was in there. And Frank Zappa went in and he's like, I don't want any of this. Like, no. I don't want you labeling my music as offensive. He goes, do you know what's going to happen? Like, you're going to kill my album sales. You're going to put this on here. And who are you to say what somebody should listen to and not listen to? And he went in and it was like, whoa, you made a really good point. And, Frank is actually a Republican. He doesn't want government getting involved, which was so interesting because there are a lot of Republicans and religious, the religious right who was like, we want to get involved. So there was just so much hypocrisy going on. But the reality is they were only able to get some labels to go along with it and put that little label on. And I don't even think the rating system ever took off. Because I remember Dee Snider was all pissed off. He's like, they wanted to give us a V for violence, for we're not going to take it. He's like, first they started talking about the words in the songs, and then they started coming after our videos. They thought our videos were violent. He's like, our videos was like a Three Stooges episode. So it started to really get out of hand. Anybody who just didn't like anything now had a comment going by that they could jump on and start screaming with. I'm all worked up. You got me all worked up. They could start, grabbing on and screaming with the people that wanted to censor. So that was a weird time. Nothing ever came of it. We never did get that censorship, but we did get those labels. Remember those parental advisory
parental
labels,
advisory. That's what it is, right?
Yeah, but when all this was going on and I was learning about it, I was young and I was like, fuck censorship. But yeah, you know what? I don't know that one day I caught my kid watching a SpongeBob show on YouTube where somebody had dubbed out all the words and put in like nonstop garbage curse words. I didn't think that was possible, right? Because I thought back when he was young that YouTube was totally clean. But it's like, I wish I had a warning label. I wouldn't have let him hear that. I'm not trying to have my kids grow up too fast, So there is stuff that I don't want them to hear. And my argument would always be, because I'm a huge Howard Stern fan too, if you don't like what he says, don't listen to him. Don't keep your kids away from it. As I got older, I started to realize it's easier said than done. Like, they're gonna find it, Porn is everywhere now. I mean, geez, the stuff that's out there now, freely available on the internet, it's growing the kids up way too fast. So trying to stop it would be futile anyway, because of the way that the internet just changed. You can get anything you want on the internet with a single search. So
right.
But I understand their point now. I didn't understand it when I was a kid.
No, I completely understand it. I mean, there should be. I agree. There should be warnings on things, like the parental advisory things. I don't have kids, but if I did, I wouldn't want them listening to, certain things,
Like what, Casey? I wouldn't want them listening to country music. Well, that's not obscene. I don't care. I don't want to listen.
I love country music too. Oh. No, I mean, there's certain things like, I don't know, like the Prince, for instance, the Prince thing, going back to that,
Yeah. Well, it's like, man, Grand Theft Auto 5. I love that game. What a game. But it is the dirtiest fucking game. Like, parents have no idea how dirty it is. It's dirtier than you think.
I just started playing it the other day, and I went into there's a strip club that you can go into, and they're actually naked in there. I was
you're just getting started. and like, I would meet parents, and they're like, oh yeah, my kid plays that game. And I'm like, wow, like I'm not a prude in any way, but I don't want my son playing that. And I kept him away from it for a while. And he would say to me, Dad, my friends get to play it and I don't. I'm like, I'm sorry. Just wait till you're a little bit older. Like, I don't want you to see this stuff because it's going to grow you up too fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids. I mean, kids these days. I mean, even look at the way some of the kids are in TV shows now. Like, have you seen the new Chucky series?
I started it. I never did finish it.
So like those kids, they're young. The stuff that they're doing, like they're 13, 14 years old. The stuff that they're killing people on screen. There's a lot of shit that's, I mean, I love this show. It's a great show, but like then I look up like the kids. I'm like, holy shit, he's only fucking 13.
Yeah. Well, when I was in college, I remember taking a class, and I remember we were studying some of the videos on MTV. Like, I remember Def Leppard's Photograph, right? And I went in, and I was biased, right? There's already anchor biasing going on because I'm a huge Def Leppard fan. And the teacher was kind of like, look at this, and it's, it's degrading, and it's showing, violence towards women. And I remember my back got up a little because I didn't want to believe it, right? But yeah, it kind of was. I mean, you look at the video, it's, but the song was, trying to be about something else. And it's artistic integrity, and you can do whatever you want. Don't be so prude, but people do get influenced by that. People get influenced by it because you saw an entire wave of people start dressing like Madonna all of a sudden, So
yeah.
When MTV came out, I mean, they pushed the limits of censorship completely. So the fact that the PMRC came in 85 is because that was sort of the period where like sex comedies got real big. The dirty albums got big, like Cheech and Chong albums. Porn was kind of like getting everywhere now. Like, yeah, it was getting dirty. They're like, we're going to stop. Remember, they named 15 albums that they said were the dirty ones that they wanted to show as examples. And I remember it was like Wasp, and it was Twisted Sister, and it was Prince, and there were a couple others in there. But it was just like, yeah, it's like, okay, so you're going to these are going to be the poster children of all of censorship. But you couldn't keep up with MTV. I mean, one video was more racy than the next, and the next, and the next. It was really spinning out of control.
Yeah. How about do you know about the George Carlin? Like about all that?
The 7 dirty words and hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I don't know too much about it, but I was reading that he wrote that, like, that was on radio. They played that on radio, that whole bit. And then it was censored. Like all those words were censored after that. They were considered highly inappropriate and unsuitable for broadcast. And then somehow they got out. He did it on radio,
probably a live broadcast, and they didn't know it was coming,
right? And then they came up with it was the 7 words you can't say on television. After yeah, ass, balls, cocksucker, cunt, fuck, motherfucker, piss, shit, and tits.
You had to read it. You didn't know it.
No, I didn't know it.
I'm such a George Carlin fan. I have it memorized. Like, I was like, is he going to do it, or am I going to do it? Because I hope it's him.
Think about that, though. Like, you can say just about all that shit now. Not on like regular like cable television. Like, some of them you can. We learned the other day in the pop culture quiz the other week with Will. The first scripted swear word in 1999 was shit. So you can obviously say that now.
Yeah.
I hear ass on TV all the time.
Yeah, it's all different now. It's interesting to me that this culture really, thinks it's like better to edit just sexuality and nudity, but like let murder and death and violence happen all over. I think I even said it on one of these shows very early on. I remember watching, and again, I'm coming off prudish, but I'm not, man. My kid was 6, and we're watching a Transformers movie, and it's like these robots are basically decimating cities, and people are dying. Nobody leaves a city when giant robots show up. They're like, woo, we got out of there just in time. Bullshit. Those fucking things fly in and they devastate a city, and it's just death. And that you don't think a kid's sitting there going, look at all these people that are getting killed. I'm sure they are. I would think about that kind of shit all the time when I was watching Star Wars when I was my son's age. So it's like, we have no problem with violence in this country. But, nudity took forever to get okay on regular TV. And now there's sex scenes and everything on HBO. So.
Yeah. I mean, well, HBO, though, is like a pay service. You do have to pay extra for that. It's not on. There's no like nudity or anything on regular basic cable that people don't have to pay for. Yeah.
And I think that's, HBO saying this is the kind of stuff that we do. Like, if you want it, you buy it. If you don't want your kids seeing it, don't buy it. So a lot of that did help. Kids weren't able to get the Playboy channel that easily back then, but now they can. Now there's no Playboy channel, but there's hardcore everything.net.org, so it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I was talking about this with Barbara the other day about like kids, young kids with telephones now. Like, you can find like you have the world in your hand, like it's right. Everything's right here. You can put, I mean, I'm sure, as a parent, there's like, you can put like parental blocks and stuff on certain things, but they're going to, if they want to find something, they're going to find it. Do you know what I mean? Like if their friend has something, or, or cousin, or, there's always ways that kids are going to find a way to see the shit that they want to see.
What do you think about when they censor something now from a long time ago? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I kind of think it's ridiculous.
I think I agree with you. I think censoring something that was in our culture's past, in our history, to make it sound like it didn't happen is just as bad as, we learned in elementary school that when the English showed up, they had food with the Indians. We weren't told the truth. They ruined their lives. So like now we're going to go back and not address that some of this bad shit happened. We're just going to take the statues away. And, like Disney just got called out for going back into some of their old content and removing, some of the racial things in there. But it's like, yeah, right. It doesn't work now, but it was a sign of the times then. It was the culture. It was the society. And you take that away and I don't know, we're going to forget that. And maybe it's not something we're supposed to forget. You can't grow from things that you don't, have any basis in. So don't take the basis away.
And don't you think sometimes too, it makes it more controversial when they remove stuff, like especially when they're removing these statues in the middle of the night, like some of these statues, like, oh, why did they take that statue away now that's been here for the last fucking 75 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
I never thought about it before, but now I'm going to look into this.
Yeah. I know that like they went through a lot of their catalog on Disney Plus, like Adventures in Babysitting, when she goes, don't fuck with the babysitter. They changed it to don't fool with the babysitter. Like, you didn't have to do that. That was the original movie. That was how it was intended. Who are you to go in and change somebody else's movie? Well, we own the movie now. Okay, then I guess you get to do it. I don't know. I don't know. So sometimes I'm for, a platform self-censoring themselves, but then sometimes it's like, it's PC gone mad, I don't know, man. This is, I wish we didn't bring this topic up. When I first thought about it, I was like, oh, we could have some good banter. Oh, it pisses me off. And it pisses me off because there's no cure. There's no solution. There's just nothing we can do.
No, we got nowhere on this episode.
Is the problem. It's so hard to wrap your head around this shit. You can't tell one person not to talk and let another person talk. But if one person's saying horrible shit, the other person may not think it's so horrible. Like, I get it. I don't know. I got to become president. Make me president.
So, all right. I'm
going to
glad
turn
you
it
brought
into a dictatorship.
I'm glad you brought that up because speaking of like people saying misinformation and stuff. Okay. The president of the United States, Joe Biden. Did you hear about the other week how he claimed that he was arrested several times for like civil rights stuff? No,
what did he say?
So I don't know exactly what he said about this. Yeah, that he was arrested, like protested in the 60s. Like that's proven to that has never been true. Like he was never arrested. Okay. And I know Trump has said some fucking outlandish things too. Like there's thousands of things that Trump said that were wrong, but Biden is our president now. And just the other day, he claimed that he used to drive a tractor trailer. It's fact checked that he drove a bus one time.
But these aren't even like good lies, They're like stupid lies.
But like, there's misinformation everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, even the president of the United States says shit that's not true.
Well, when you vote me in as dictator of the United States, it's all going to be my way. It's all going to be run on my common sense. All right.
Can I ask you one question?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Leading into your presidency.
My campaign? Yeah, go ahead.
Will you legalize marijuana?
Yeah, if people want to smoke marijuana, that's fine. Let them smoke it. If people want to do heroin, I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want to do to have a good time, as long as you don't hurt other people. If you're dumb enough to do some of this shit, you get what you get. But I know, we live in a government that doesn't want to allow it. But under my government, it's called survival of the fittest.
Well, under your government, then there would be no censorship.
Well, see, now you see, we're going to start from the beginning here. I can't decide. Is censorship good or is it bad? It's all just screwed up. I can't even wrap my head around it to parse it out to decide what is best. I don't know. So I'm going to have to be Judge Dredd. I will be judge and jury. I will decide. I will decide what should be censored. If it's stuff I don't like, I'm going to censor it. And if you don't like it, you can leave the country.
That's the whole problem with censorship. It's all about one group or several groups or one person. If they don't like it, then there's an issue.
Yeah. Well, look at the Chinese government. I mean, Google can't even operate properly there because they got to censor everything. So, I mean, the opposite of what we have is China. And I don't, is it working better there? They have a better existence than we do? It doesn't seem like it.
Bringing that up. I don't know the whole story. I was flipping through and I saw Quentin Tarantino was on Joe Rogan the other day or a couple months ago, whenever. And I watched a small clip of that. It was talking about censorship, and Rogan asked him about, because you're familiar with Quentin's movies, right? Mm-hmm. He's made some outlandish shit, Mm-hmm. Rogan asked, like, did anyone ever say, like, maybe you should change that, or it's different, whatever, like you should censor that, maybe not put that in? And he's like, yeah, I people did say that. He's like, but it's my fucking movie. Like, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it, Yeah. And he said, like, things like before the whole motion picture things, like he said there was a movie, and like people always think about like other countries, the censorship and things, but Quentin was talking about a movie, and you'll have to look it up. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but like other countries, the movies and things, they weren't censored as much as American movies. Like he said, the opening scene of one of his favorite movies is like a guy masturbating to like pictures of like, dead carcasses or some shit. It's
that sounds like really Quentin's favorite movie. Yeah.
Like really fucking weird shit, that like was made long before, any of like the creepy movies in America, so like people always think that things were censored in other countries and stuff, but America is the one that has the issue with a lot of stuff.
Oh, I hear it different. I hear some of the other countries really are pretty heavy on censorship too. And it's like, sometimes you hear about what they censored. I wish I could think of an example, but it's like, really, Australia thought that was worth censoring? Like,
yeah,
it's just different cultures. Like, to me, something that's innocuous may not be, to them. So,
yeah, I'll put the link up to that clip that I'm talking about, because I misinformation, Bill.
Yeah, we're not doing anything to help with the misinformation, though. We get shit wrong all the time. What other censorship did I jot down? I'm thinking about like even YouTube censorship. Like, I understand, censoring stuff for like stealing somebody else's material is censorship, but that censorship makes sense.
Yeah.
Instagram's terrible at censorship. I mean, I see so much art that they take down because they think it's pornography, and it's like, well, it's your platform. I guess you get to do it. You're right. Idiots, but I guess.
How about this? How about misinformation? Facebook would take down things that they thought, that they didn't agree with. Facebook would just take things that if they don't agree with something, they will take it down. Like in the past, when this whole coronavirus started, people were saying that it was started in a lab, that it, possibly could have started in a lab in Wuhan. You weren't allowed, if you posted anything about that, your shit was taken down. You were kicked off of Facebook for whatever. Now there's information coming out that people are saying it possibly could have started in this lab in China. And now if you post about it, it's okay.
Well, I know it differently. Facebook actually has gotten a lot of heat for not taking things down and letting the misinformation run. So your experience isn't really in line with what a lot of people are thinking about Facebook.
Well, it's not my experience. It didn't happen to me, but I mean, I've read about it and listened, heard things.
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, Facebook's, all sorts of trouble right now for knowing some of the damage that they've caused to like teen girls who, that they're sucked into Instagram and it's changing their I don't want to misquote it, but like 1 in every 3 girls has body issues, and they blame Instagram. Like they knew shit like that, and they're like, we don't care. Move forward. We get profits this way. So they're pretty fucked up. They're pretty corrupt anyway, and that's one of several things that came out recently with the whistleblower. So the way that they handled all the misinformation from the election. They really kind of let it go because they want the profits. They barely made it seem like they cared, right? They apparently there's a big story that came out where they have a special list inside of Facebook, and a lot of people are on it, from celebrities to political figures to just friends of employees of Facebook, who are allowed to go and write anything without scrutiny, right? So there's a story where a soccer player from some country outside of here, maybe it was Argentina, maybe it was somewhere else, he had put pictures up of like revenge porn of his girlfriend, and he was on this special list, and it took 24 hours for somebody at Facebook to finally say, okay, I have the authorization to take it down. So Facebook's there. I know how hard their job must be to kind of create this thing, and now the world is on fire and it's happening on their platform. I don't know. What would you do if you were Zuckerberg? Would you censor, or would you just let everything run? The same question keeps coming back, Case.
Does he still own Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, if I was him,
yeah,
I would fucking sell it and disappear.
Yeah, he made enough money. You think, well, he's got to start the metaverse now. He's got to move on to his next big thing. So
I don't even want to get into that shit.
You don't want to do it. You don't want to have a little avatar Casey running around.
No, this
go back to wrestling days.
This world, people are fucking dumb enough. This fucking world, people running around in a metaverse.
Oh yeah, it's just. You ever see the end of Wall-E? All the fat guys in the. You didn't see it.
I've never seen Wall-E.
You know what? Listen, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you stand for. Go see Wall-E. All right. It's a great movie because it shows you like a glimpse of the future if humanity allows ourselves to keep on getting lazy. And like at the end of this thing, you realize, they're all in this giant ship that's just flying through space. It's like a yacht. And every one of the guests in there is basically in this pod doing the metaverse, looking at reality. And they're just like big and fat, and they can't even get out of the chair because they haven't been out of the chair in years. Wall-E is a really cool movie. Great social commentary hidden inside.
Go watch. Maybe you've already seen it too, but the future of our country is the way that I believe. Idiocracy. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah. I don't remember, but I've seen it. Yeah,
that's the future of this country. People they didn't realize that they couldn't grow any crops because they were trying to water their crops with electrolytes. They're like, it works for us, so why shouldn't it work on the plants?
There you go. I mean, these people existed back then. They still exist. Don't take the vaccine. They got little robots in there that are crawling around your bloodstream. All right. This is Avengers now, huh? You believe it? This is Avengers world now. God, some people, I guess, we were saying earlier, maybe we got to censor the Avengers because people watch these movies and think, they get persuaded by them, and now they think that, shit like this could really happen.
Yeah, man. You're never going to stop people from thinking what they want to think. Ever. If you don't like something, if you hear something that you're offended by, just move on. What? It just bothers me to no extent as to how many people get offended by things that don't affect them in any way whatsoever.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, it's new. It's new as of the last 20, 30 years, maybe even less. And I can't think of any other correlation, but social media gave everybody the chance to, scream and hide behind a monitor. But back in the day, I mean, shit, man, back in the 80s, like my favorite period, we disagreed with each other a lot. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
We all got along.
I disagree with you every single day.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to now because I'm going to be the dictator. Yeah, but like now you're not allowed to. See, so I might be a little bit of a hypocrite. Like there's people now in the last few years that I have found out have some dark sides that I really don't like in a person. So I have cut ties with some people because I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want a friend that's kind of like you. I didn't know you were like this. But most people, I can overlook differences.
Yeah, I don't care as long as you're, a decent person. I don't give a shit what you do. As long as you
have a good time, just don't hurt other people. You're getting on board, man.
Don't hurt children or other people, and I just do what you want.
Can you donate to my campaign? I'll give you a button. Bill for president.
May I be your running mate?
No, because I'm a dictator and I'm not even going to have a VP. I don't want anybody talking in my ear trying to tell me what to do. I got enough people telling me what to do in my life. I want to be the king. I'm going to bring back king and queen.
Yeah, you're the fucking king, all right.
I'm going to be the king and the queen.
The queen has no power whatsoever. She's just a figurehead.
Yeah, they have some kind of influence, but I don't think it's like running the country influence. Yeah, I don't really understand what their story is. I don't even understand our world or our country enough. To try to study there it's too much work.
Yeah.
I do love it over there.
I've never been. I would like to go though. But with the vaccine mandates and all that stuff, I don't know if that will ever happen. Good show, Bill. What do you think? You ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I guess. I'm all worked up. We solved nothing. We really made things worse. We probably pissed off half the audience. There's probably half that hates me now because they disagree, and the other half hates you. We're going to go back to having 0 downloads.
No one hates me, man. You, on the other hand, I can't say the same for.
I like when it's funny that when everybody used to hate Stern, but they listened, and he's like, I don't care how many people hate me. They just keep listening. They love to hate me. So cool. If you're listening, you're entertained. So at least I'm entertained. I'm not making any money to entertain anybody here. I do all this for free.
Yeah.
Don't hate me. I'm trying to be this guy.
Yeah, we do all this for free, but if you would like to support the show, you can always go to patreon.com/chicken. Chicken duck. Jesus Christ. Don't go to chicken duck. Censor that.
Whoops.
You can support our show by going to patreon.com/deluxe edition pod. You can find us, as you can see, everywhere. I made this nice background here for our StreamYard. You can find us at Deluxe Edition Pod. I'm at Casey Shearer 80 on Twitter. Bill the Mountain. We are also on the den.show, the Deluxe Edition Network. Check that out. We are the podcast of the month this year, but definitely check all the other show. Yeah, this podcast of the month.
We got the whole year. Nice.
Podcast of the month of February on our Facebook group. Bill, I designated because we had a great episode last week with Amber talking about the pop culture conspiracies, and 2 of our other shows on the network are basically conspiracy podcasts. So I designated February as Conspiracy Month at the Den. So check the shows over there out. Horsing Around, Take on the World, 100% Recycled. We got the Realtor Show with Brad Weissman, Real Estate and You. Hypothetically Great. We got.
You doing this from memory or reading?
I'm just doing this from memory. And then we have what's the Highly Judgmental. We have Highly Judgmental. They do a lot of heavy metal music reviews and NFL and college sports reviews. So check everyone out at the den.show. And I think that'll do it, Bill.
All right.
And let us know in the comments of YouTube your thoughts on censorship. If you would like a sticker, I have Den stickers and Deluxe Edition stickers. I'm doing this promotion on our Facebook group. If you send us a screenshot of you reviewing one of the Den shows on Spotify, Give us a 5-star review, any Den show, and I'll send you a sticker.
I think you're bribing them.
Is that bribery?
I think so, and I'm not sure that's legal, but
No, it's begging.
it's begging. Yeah.